Welcome back to yet another episode of the Jimmy House podcast. Today we have a very special guest. He is the Null, otherwise known as John.
Yes.
Without a last name. Today we're interviewing him because he's actually on his way to Japan in just 72 hours to go wrestle for the world famous organization NOAH. And, with the podcast, I like to get a lot of these guys in, the boys, the Rhodes brothers, Jacob Henry, John himself, before they go off and become big superstars, just so I can have this footage for myself and you guys can see essentially what is going through John's head before he goes off to his next journey. Because I've known John now for a little bit over a year. Not only has he been a big mentor to me in the wrestling industry, but he's also been somebody that I've got to see from afar, only on Instagram, but also like in the ring itself. And I get to see, the passion, the knowledge, the dedication that he has, all the traveling he does, and how bad he wants this particular goal to work. And we're going to get into what that particular goal is. But before we do, if you guys don't know anything about John, I like to just touch on the obvious things, right? So like your background, your upbringing,
For sure.
If any at all sports that you did leading into wrestling. I know you spent some time in the Marines and everything.
Yeah,
yep. And how that all led to wrestling. Just talk about, your childhood and whatever sports you played, what impact wrestling had on you as a kid, and what kind of led you to where you're at now. If you guys are interested in my one-on-one online coaching services, make sure to check out my coaching app where we can customize your workout, customize your nutrition for whatever specific goals that you need. We have a link down below in the show notes if you want to apply, and we can schedule a free consultation call with myself.
Man, I'm trying to think of where I want to begin. I would say as a kid, we definitely watched a lot of wrestling growing up. Kind of just like in my grandma's basement. Like we would sneak on like Friday nights and watch it.
Siblings and stuff?
Not cousins.
Okay.
Like me and cousins and kids from the neighborhood, so we would like see. Like my earliest wrestling memories, like the Hardys, like Hardy Boys.
Oh yeah.
And like Eddie Guerrero, that's like my first wrestlers I saw. I would say as a kid, so I was like looking up to them. And then now as I got older, I saw like Kane, Undertaker, and that's kind of where I pick up like a lot of my habits in the ring from.
Did those guys become more appealing to you once you realized that you're bigger than the average person?
No, I mean, in wrestling, yes. But as a kid, no, I was terrified of them.
Really?
Yeah, as a kid. I was terrified.
Because you're 6'7" now, almost
6'7".
Like upwards of 200 in the higher 200s, yeah?
Yeah, about 263 right now.
Yeah, and he's been bigger before too. He's actually leaning out quite a bit because he's getting in condition to keep up with the guys in Japan. So
I had to drop weight.
Right. Besides the wrestling that you watched as a kid, any sports or anything like that you took part in?
Oh yeah, so football and basketball up until like college, I would say. But I stayed with basketball though, because my mom didn't really want me playing football anymore. Just because it was just dangerous. I loved it, but it was just dangerous. So I stuck with basketball. So I think that's where I get a lot of my athleticism from. Yeah. Like in wrestling and my footwork. Because for a big guy, I move pretty like swift.
Yeah, he does.
And agile. So I think basketball and gymnastics for sure. I did gymnastics too as a baby.
I was gonna ask. Yeah. What was that like?
I know it was cool. Like I was young when I did it, but I just feel like as a young kid, it's important to build like that foundation as an athlete. And I think gymnastics teaches you body control. And, it teaches you a lot that other sports won't, I would say. So I feel like I really learned how to control my body doing gymnastics as like a young kid to build that foundation, honestly.
You played basketball up to college or even in college as well?
Oh, no, I didn't play in college.
Okay.
I wish, but I was good. I was like neighborhood good. But like with a coaching system, I just never... Like I was just like regular, but the neighborhood, I was amazing.
Right, because you're from South Carolina,
North
right?
Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Born and raised.
Yeah, born and raised. there.
What were some of the experiences like as a kid growing up that kind of shaped you to where you're at now?
Man, I'm trying to think, bro.
That's a big question.
It's a big question. Well, I grew up in like a single parent household, like no father, so I just kind of had to like grow up quick, I would say. But I had a really good mom like super supportive mom and grandmother, you know, who kind of molded me, and a really good granddad too. You know, he kind of just developed me to who I am today, honestly. And like father figures who came into my life, who actually like got me into wrestling.
Yeah.
I would say, like my acting father, he's the one who like got me into wrestling.
What motivated you to get into the Marine Corps then?
Really, I was just bored, bro. And I was in school for architecture. I wanted to be an architect. And like the math was just too hard. And I was like failing, like all the classes. I had F's. So like I didn't want my mom to know. So I thought the best way would just be like to just disappear and go to the Marine Corps.
Really? Okay.
So she had no idea until like a month went. Like it was like I had like a month left. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to like leave.
And you never had any aspirations to do that beforehand, huh?
I saw a cool commercial.
Really? Yeah.
Like being for real. I saw a cool commercial, and I already had older friends who went, and they were getting like super jacked. Like they were getting super jacked. So I was like, I need to go get the program. So I saw the commercial, and I saw like my friends getting jacked, and they would bring me to the workouts. They would do like it was like a local little like Marine Corps recruitment center.
Oh, okay.
And they would bring me there like to work out with them. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing like the workouts, and I was like, man, this is like crazy.
Right.
Like I'm seeing like my body like change. So I was like, yeah, might as well just do it.
I have to imagine were you the biggest one, like in your?
Yeah, height wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, height wise.
Weight wise too, or no?
No, I didn't start putting on. I went into the Marine Corps. I was only like 175 pounds.
Oh, really? At 6'7"?
Yeah.
Damn.
Probably I wasn't. I don't even think I was fully growing. I was maybe like 6'5", 6'6" when I went in. But I was only like 175, bro, 185.
Did you find that some of the things that they had you guys do, was it harder because of you being so much taller? Because I just feel like the majority of people I see that are in the Marines are average height. Yeah.
Yeah, they're short. Yeah, it was weird, but I got good at it. You know, I was a machine gunner, and I did like CQB and things like that. I worked with rifles and whatnot. So I was an infantry guy. So me being able to do that at this size was just super crazy and just scary looking. I would say, just seeing me do that just at the size. But yeah, I mean, it taught me a lot. Marine Corps taught me a lot.
How old are you at this time?
I'm 30 now.
Or not at this time,
Oh,
I'm sorry,
shit.
when you're in the Marine Corps?
Man, like 19, 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
How many years?
It's a total of 8 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but like 3, 4 inactive, 5 active. Like 4 or 5 active.
You did a tour, correct?
A few. Those are all like pretty interesting. Like we do Muse, so we rotate on the ships, like around like the Pacific Ocean and things like that. But I didn't see anything like nothing like the guys like post 9/11, like you know pre 9/11, like nothing like that. Just little things here and there, but no like war movie shit.
Okay,
you know
gotcha.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because I figure that's a decently long time to be involved, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What made you? Because I'm not familiar, but I would assume you re-signed with the Marines. Like
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
So yeah, I finished up, but I couldn't re-enlist because I had like I had a heart issue. I had like a valve in my heart that got like inflamed, so I couldn't even like re-enlist if I wanted to. Yeah. So I had like I got exposed to nuclear radiation.
Really? Okay.
Somehow. I don't know how. But I remember one day I was like out with some friends and I like threw up blood.
Really?
And I woke up like in the hospital.
Really?
Yeah. And they told me like my heart was fucked up.
Do you still have issues with that today? No.
Nah.
What's the process of getting rid of that or healing from it?
I think just time. Really, it was just time. And cardiologists, you know, he's just crazy. Like dealing with that, you know, technically I'm not supposed to be doing what I'm doing now.
Right.
Like,
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So just crazy. I've kind of just, I don't know, just like stepped on it and overcame a lot, I would say.
Yeah, most definitely. So then after the Marine Corps and you come back here, how shortly after that did pro wrestling become a thought?
Man, right when I got back, before I got out, basically like my dad called me He saw how big I got because this time I was like 285.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was 285.
Wow.
Not fat, like this, like muscle,
Yeah.
like Batista. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make you a pro wrestler." And at that time, I was like, "What?" Like I hadn't. At that time, I was not watching wrestling. In the Marine Corps, I didn't really watch anything. Like you just don't really watch TV in the Marine Corps. You don't have time. So I hadn't really. Only wrestler I really knew that was relevant. This is like 2015, 2016, 2017 was like Seth Rollins, Roman. So those like the only two guys I knew that was still like the top guys in
Yeah.
WWE. But I know like a year later, 2 years later, he had me visit Charlotte, where I'm from, over like Christmas break. It was like my first Christmas home in like 5 years. And he had me meet with David Crockett, which is like, I don't know if you guys do like Jim Crockett Promotions, but that was like that's where Dustin Rhodes, like his dad, Dusty, was working at.
Okay.
That's how Dustin lived in Charlotte.
Okay.
First dad was working there because Jim Crockett Promotions was there. So basically his son was like the guy who introduced me to the sport. And like 2 days later after meeting him, I ran into Cedric Alexander, like getting a haircut, like getting a fade.
Yeah.
And he like invited me to practice. I like told him my situation. I was like, yeah, like my dad's trying to get me to be a wrestler. He was like, well, I'll wrestle. Like this time, you know, he was, you know, Raw, SmackDown like every week. So it was just crazy how that just happened. And he had the same coach that my dad wanted me to work with. So like my first training day was while I was still in the Marine Corps, December 24th, 2019.
Do you remember that day? What was that like?
It's terrifying.
Really?
It was terrifying. I mean, I was huge, but you just, you know, you walk in and you see people just taking bumps and stuff like that. I didn't know what a bump was back then, but you just see it. It's very intimidating to walk into not knowing anything. Like you see them do all this crazy stuff, spots. You just like, how do they remember it all?
Yeah.
Because you know, at that time I wasn't like working, so I didn't understand like just the natural feel of things. I'm just watching it.
Right.
It was just crazy to see. I was like very intimidated.
I assume because of your size and everything, you probably had, you know, more eyes on you, like higher expectations, stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. They were looking for everything wrong with me, for sure.
How soon after that did you start doing matches?
Man, I trained for a year. I trained for, honestly, a little bit over a year before I debuted, like a real debut.
And did you have your character already kind of thought of when you were training?
Yeah, I did. Like I knew, I really wanted to be Kane, but like my coach was like, "You can't be Kane or Undertaker. Like there's already Kane Undertaker." But I had an idea, but like I had a vision. I would say that's kind of what people see now. I had a vision of the product that I wanted to put out. I just hadn't figured out a way to get to it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now I feel like it's all coming together. But back then I just wore like just an all black singlet and black boots. That was it. And then the mask kind of came like, when the mask come? The mask came like towards the end of 2021.
Okay.
That's when the mask came. Because I used to be smiling too much. I used to smile. I'm out there like beating people up and like smiling.
Yeah.
So my coach was like, how are we going to put a mask on you? Like, you look great, but let's put a mask on you. Because I like Bane and Batman, things like that. So it was perfect. And it worked. And then, so I was masked for like 3 years. And then Dustin was like, nope, take the mask off. You look pretty.
Yeah.
So now there's like no mask. And I wasn't comfortable taking the mask off. Dustin knows me and him would fight. Me, him, and Terrell would fight about the mask. Because I was like, oh, it's my mask. Like, people know this mask. People did know the mask. Like, people knew me. Like, they would not recognize me. But as soon as, like, I put my gear on, they're like, oh, that's the guy.
Yeah.
So, and I actually like that, I would say. But now I'm, like, way more comfortable, like, showing facial expressions and whatnot. And because I just wasn't comfortable doing it. It just took me a while to adjust, I would say.
That makes sense. What would you say during that year of training leading up to your matches is the hardest part of professional wrestling? Let's say for somebody that's watching, that's just starting or is considering starting.
I would say, like, being an athlete helps. Like, being super athletic helps. Like, being explosive helps. Having a great look, all that helps. But it's just, like, understanding how to work. really, I would say.
What does that mean to you?
It's just like the little stuff, like your placement, like your timing, like your ring awareness, those type of things.
Yeah.
Like those are things that you can have all like the tools, like looks wise, but like you just don't have those automatically. And that's honestly, I mean, I wouldn't say I had them automatically. I wasn't bad, but like it's definitely like improvement. If you watch me from 4 years ago and watch me now, it's huge.
Right.
Like improvement and just understanding the sport, because I was like completely new to the sport 5 years ago. Like I watched it, but I never wanted to be a wrestler growing up.
Yeah.
You know, from where I grew up at, like from where I'm from, like you don't know how to become a wrestler.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea people could just walk into a school and do that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought they like pick people from like Muscle Beach or something.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea anybody could just sign up at wrestling school.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
How soon into your journey did you start to realize that you had potential to be on TV, to be at that next level?
Man, honestly, I remember this too. Movie Mike was there, and Caprice Coleman, he told me, he was like, once you figure this out, like you're out of here. And that was probably like, I had to be like a year and a half in the training. But I would say like I knew I had something though, but then like, not like at first. I would say I knew it had potential. Like, okay, I could be decent at this. I would say 6 months in, but not like WWE or.
Yeah.
I figured I saw myself at that level, maybe like a year and a half. When my coach said something like, "Hey man, like, I think once you get this figured out, like you can really like
Right.
be really successful."
Yeah, those words, especially coming from the right person, mean a lot. Because I'm sure even in your corner, you have friends and supporters telling you like, "Oh man, you can do this. You can get to that next level." But like when you have somebody that knows
Definitely.
what the product is and what they're looking for, then it just means that much more. You know, when you get that.
Nah, for sure. Like, yeah, hearing Caprice say that, I was like, wow. Like, you know, he like I respect him. He was very hard on me though. Like super hard on me in training, because he just held me to that like standard.
Yeah. Right.
Of wanting to be great. And he knew I wanted to be great, and I'm not nowhere close to being great yet, but like, you know, I'm still chasing like being great. So he saw that in me. So he would nitpick like everything, bro.
Yeah.
Like every little thing I'm doing. Like it could look great to somebody, but I always like when people tell me the negative. So I don't know. Okay, that's how I get better. When everybody tells me, "Oh, that was great," I don't want to hear that. I hate hearing that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't get better from that.
Yeah.
So I want to get nitpicked. That's how, you know, that's how I was trained, brought up. Like learning the bad, so you don't do it again.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'd have to agree too. Especially like even my first two matches, the first bit that came out of Dustin's mouth was like constructive criticism. So, and like I hyper focus on those two particular things they had mentioned over the next two matches, and I can see how like it almost feels like I'm jumping months and months and like in progression, just because
definitely.
You know, with Dustin's eye, it's like, okay, if I just can nail whatever he's saying here, then I'll be able to paint a bigger piece of this canvas, so I can get closer and closer what it should actually look like. So I definitely understand what you're saying there. And now, like, kind of getting into further into your career, I know that you've had, I don't know, for lack of a better term, some teases per se of like getting really, really close, and then something happens. Do you want to touch on some of those? Yeah,
we can. So I'm never gonna forget this. See, this was in Atlanta, like right before my birthday too.
Okay.
Like right before my birthday. It was like the best birthday gift ever, I would say. I had a show in Atlanta, Georgia, at Nightmare Factory. It's called Central District Wrestling. It's like a Nightmare Factory affiliation.
Okay.
And like literally, I had the match. I wrestled the guy from New York named Jai Cole, big guy, big 350-pound guy, 6'3", 6'4" guy. We had a good match. Like, it was nothing crazy we did in the match. It was just like a big fight.
Yeah.
And then after the match, you know, I checked my DMs and I saw I had a message from from like WWE.
Wow.
Saying they were interested in me, and I thought it was fake. So I texted Dustin. I tried to call him. I'm like calling him.
Yeah.
He's not picking up.
Yeah.
Because it's like the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So I texted like JD Drake, called him. He's like, "Nah, this is real." And then Dustin got back to me the next day and was like, "Oh yeah, this is real." Like, so yeah.
When you say from WWE, was it like their account or like
the recruitment? I don't want to mention the name, but it was like WWE recruitment.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I got a message from like a spam account of theirs, and yeah, I mean I did the show, went down, did the tryout, like literally right after my birthday. I was on the beach on my birthday, and I got the call like, "Hey, like coming down in like 2 days." And I remember I had like a birthday cake and everything. I had birthday cake, whiskey, bourbon, all that in the house on the beach, and I can't even like eat the cake.
Oh yeah.
What if I told you by watching this podcast, you could get one pass to unlock several gym memberships? Say what? That's right. With Rep Gym Pass and code HouseStrong, you can save money on a gym pass that allows you to go to all the participating gyms on this singular app. And if you're a gym owner and want your gym to be a part of it, comment down below and I'll reach out and we can get you set up on Rep Gym Pass.
So you get the call from the WWE tryout and it's right before your birthday or is on your birthday?
Yeah, so they were saying originally they were like, "Oh yeah, you'll have a child like 2 months, like get in shape. Like if you're not already in shape, like just get even better shape." But luckily with me, I try to stay in shape.
Right.
You know, at all times. For stuff like that, you never know what can happen. So like originally there was supposed to be like a big independent tryout. Where it was gonna be like just people from the indies tryout.
Okay.
I guess they couldn't wait. They wanted me there within like 4 or 5 days. I was just by myself.
Yeah.
So that was just like surreal too. I was like, well, I'm getting a one-on-one like tryout, which is crazy.
Nobody else was there at all? Really? Okay.
It was just me working with like the NXT like roster.
Wow.
Just mixed in with the classes. So it was crazy. I was like, wow. And I just remember them calling me on my birthday while I'm like literally about to like eat cake and drink. And like, yeah, you're gonna be down here. I went down on the 6th of November. So like literally like 6 days after my birthday. My birthday is like Halloween, so yeah, I was down there 6 days after. And they kept me for about like a week.
What was that experience like? What did they all have you do there?
Oh man, it was amazing. You know, I feel like every wrestler, if you get in the business, you should want to strive to get there.
Yeah.
Or to, at least get your foot in the door. It was crazy. It was like the athleticism there from like everyone, guys and girls, was insane. You got people from the Olympics, like
right, yeah,
wrestlers from the Olympics. Like you got defensive ends from like Alabama. Like it's just insane.
Yeah,
it was just crazy to be here, but I liked it though, cause like everybody is so. I would say everybody's so hungry to like learn wrestling there.
Right.
Like they want to do it. I know a lot of people think, "Oh, these guys they didn't play any, they didn't wrestle, they didn't want to be a wrestler," but they're there, and they're like, how can I say it? Like they're like morphing into like a wrestler, and, and they want it.
Like quite literally a cheat code to getting fast tracked. You know what I mean? I mean, their number one job is to become wrestlers at the highest level, and their coach's job is to coach them to become wrestlers at the highest level. So
that's what I'm saying.
When I think about it, it's like, let's just take your average wrestling school with like, your average wrestling coach that's been doing it for a little bit, but maybe hasn't gone to the highest level or whatever.
Exactly.
And maybe that school practices twice a week or whatever. And then you do your shows that are local, and there's a certain skill level that's there, just being realistic. To me, like when you really, really, really think about it, regardless of how long or if these people have even been wanting or have wanted to be wrestlers before, it's like once they're in it, it makes sense how they can like jump into it within, a year's time, sometimes maybe a couple years or whatever the case may be. Much shorter than your average indie guy, right? Yep. But it makes sense because they're literally specifically just focusing on being a WWE superstar and being coached by coaches that are specific to that as well.
It's amazing.
So it like expedites the whole process. Like their rate of learning should be much faster because they just have all the resources that are available. So
and they're programmed for it. like
Right.
coming out of wherever sport they're from.
Yeah, exactly. And also to that point, they're athletes at the highest level more often than not. So then their process is expedited even more because they're just so athletic, so they can catch on to things really quickly. So yeah, that's why it to me the hate for it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like a lot of those people didn't choose to be there to begin with, but at the same
They chose
time.
them.
Right, 100%. And it's like if anybody else was given that opportunity randomly, you'd be silly to not take it,
not
you
take
know?
it,
Yeah, so it's just kind of like one of those.
Literally changes your life.
Right, 100%. And, you see nowadays with people like college athletes being able to enter their like NIL portal, or I'm not sure specifically how that works. Obviously, Jacob Henry's in it.
Yeah.
But that's something where, if I had known about that, it would have been an interesting thought. Then maybe I would have chosen to wrestle in college, right?
Sure.
And then been able to enter into that. But even that, I'm like a couple years too old for that anyway. So it's just kind of like all what ifs.
You're in a good spot though.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say you're in a lot better spot than other people.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
For
Thank
sure.
you. I had a similar moment with Dustin from what you're telling about with your coach. That kind of was like, wow. I hope I can look back on this day and remember.
Nah, for sure, man. Dustin knows.
Yeah, 100% he does. Yeah, I appreciate that. So what from that tryout? What do you think were some of your bigger takeaways?
Wow.
And what did they tell you at the end of it?
Remember, A-Train told me it was the last day. I still got his number too. Or Matt Bloom, I'll call him Coach Matt Bloom. It was after the trial. He told me, he said, "You're a really good man." He said, "I'm sure I will see you back here soon.
Okay.
Like I'll see you again soon." And I was just like, "Wow!" Like that's the head coach of like NXT. And I remember what did he say? He said, "Yeah, we already know you can wrestle, but it was something he told me. I'm trying to remember it. He said, we already know you can wrestle. He just said we just want to see like how you are like with people. So like part of it's like not just being a great wrestler, just how you interact with others, how you treat people." And I know one thing that he told me was just making sure things were seamless. So like, it was crazy for me too. And I was even proud of myself for this moment too. And I never even really like glazed myself.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not one to glaze ever, especially in myself. But like it was like wow. Like at that time I was 20. I had just turned 28.
Okay.
It was my 28th birthday. So literally, I'm like, man, I stay in shape. I was in Marine Corps. I'm a Marine, so it's like Marines, like we're just never going back down from anything.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, if I can do it, like if they can do it, I can do it. So like, it was a big thing for me. I'm going against like Braun Breaker.
Oh, he was in that.
Shit like that. Like,
Really?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
he was that's why he was still like in NXT. Like
Okay.
you got Carmelo Hayes there, you got Oba Femi, Trick Williams, like literally people who are champions. I'm like in the class, in the ring with them.
Wow.
Like, these are the best in the world.
Yeah.
So it was just really good on me that I was able to keep up and match what they were doing, and you couldn't tell that they just put a guy from the Indies in the ring.
Okay. Yeah.
Like it just all was flowing like water. So
Right.
that was a good thing too. Like when Matt Bloom told me that.
Yeah, that is really good.
That's why I knew. I was like, okay, like things might not work out now, but it's like I know because things happen like with my health, and then they had like the whole hiring freeze. So like when 2023 came back around, for time for me to go back, unfortunately I wasn't able to go back. But just based off the messages that I've gotten and the conversation I've had, I think there's a really good chance I'll hopefully be back.
Yeah, I think so
one
too.
day. Yeah.
With that said, how does your very close future Japan journey tie into this? Like, what do you think about in your head on how these two tie together?
What they tie in a lot, but I'm not really going in with the mindset of like, oh, I have to do this, have to do that. I'm just going in and just try to just be me.
Okay.
And I feel like that will just take me wherever I'm meant to go. Just like doing me, what got me there in the first place, and just keep adding on to getting better.
Do you ever deal with doubt or different instances of lack of confidence or anything that any athlete goes through when you're chasing this one big thing and then this gets close and gets pulled away? Like,
oh yeah, man, I was crashing out. 2023, 2024. Mentally, I was all like messed up. I was like, man, this is like you don't get those type of like most people don't get those opportunities.
They're gonna get one.
Yeah, I don't know. Really, I don't know anybody who's gotten a one-on-one.
Right.
Besides like Cedric,
Yeah.
Alexander, and like Mustafa. I don't know anybody else who's gotten like one-on-one, let alone a tryout or invite. Like
Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
Right.
So it's like one out of a million. It's like a lottery ticket. So it's like at that moment, you just have to make the most out of it. And when you don't get it right then, it's like, dang, it might not ever happen again. So you just got to be optimistic. But I feel like there's a good chance though. Like with this Japan thing, like with me wrestling for Noah, and now there's like the partnership between WWE and Noah. Like I think I have a chance, but I'm not going in like respecting.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I have to do the work. So, you know, I'm just going to go in and do me and just try to be great over there, I would say, and just see what happens.
What makes it worth it to you to continue to chase it with the things not being promised to you?
I mean, I still love wrestling, you know what I mean? Like, I love it. And just seeing, like, and it's weird talking about myself, but just seeing, like, my improvement over the years.
Yeah.
And just untap things that I'm doing still, trying new crazy stuff. Like I'm doing springboard flips, trying like springboard 450s and clotheslines, and I'm 6'7", 170 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring out new things that I can do that I never knew I could do before.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why not just go for it?
On a similar topic, you know, you dealt with injury obviously in the past, more recently since I've known you as well. How does your mental space hang in there as you encounter new injury, as you're going through the rehab process? How do you keep yourself motivated? And like for me, for example, my biggest thing during mine is just like, well, for one, I technically hadn't even started yet working, number one. And then second to that, it's like, I'm already 28 years old. So it's like, am I too late into this? Am I losing time? All those different things. So like for you being a seasoned veteran and the wrestling scene, what are injuries like there? What do you feel like mentally, and when you're out of it, how do you get back to trying to make up for lost time?
Man, I wouldn't even say I'm a seasoned vet. Like I've been doing it almost 5 years, but I wouldn't even say I'm like I still feel like I'm like technically I'm really like still like a baby in wrestling, bro. Like I feel like Dustin's a seasoned vet. Like,
True.
I feel like even 5 years in, I feel like I'm just like a baby. Even though I've had a lot of matches, like well over a couple hundred matches, I'm still like still learning.
Right.
Still learning. I feel like I'll never stop learning. But I would say like my mindset, bro, is like my biggest thing. Like even though it sucks, like I think this is where it goes back to the Marine Corps. Like I know how bad things can get. So I know like if I have like this surgery, like I know I can come back because I've seen it where people don't come back, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like not the best mindset to have, but I always saying, okay, at least I can come back from this.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've seen it, I'm like, well, dang, this happened to this person, and it's like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, there's no pulse. So I feel like as long as I'm still like, got like a beat, I can still go. So that's kind of like my thing. And then like, as soon as I'm able to work out, I'm just gonna get back in shape and be great, and just I don't know. I just like a never-ending motor. I feel like because I had the heart, and I had my pancreas get punctured, and then I just had knee surgery.
That's right.
And I feel like that would just mentally take everybody out. But
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten better in the ring since those injuries.
Right. That's really interesting.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, and to some degree, I kind of feel the same in my short time as well, where I was consistent coming out of my camp and everything, and you know, doing all the practices and had matches lined up. But then since coming back, for some reason, you know, I thought it would be harder to get back in the swing, number one, but second to that, I felt that the progress I made in the 3 months that I have been back, like almost triples that of which like the year straight I had been just training. And I don't know why or what that is, besides like maybe you just appreciate time a little bit more. You take things a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, I would say, you just take it, you don't take it for granted. So you just really just try to make the most out of your practice. That's why like a trainer, I try to make the most out of it. Like,
yeah, you do.
Yeah, I try to make the most out of like what I'm doing in the ring. I know it's scary to some people when I'm in there, but it's like, you know, as Ricky even says, like you want to like practice how you gonna play. Like you want to go out there and like half-ass. like you want it to be like full on when you're practicing. So when when you're competing in front of a crowd, like it's
Right.
So I just try to make the most of what I got. And I think like with the injuries, I know you probably can relate to this too with the same knee that I had surgery on. It's probably like more purpose for you now too.
Yeah.
To like be good, to build yourself back up. So that's how I am too. Even building my body, I'm like, oh, I got to build my body back to what it was before. And now I feel like I'm leaner than what I was before.
Yeah, you are very lean now.
So,
but your size is coming back on, which is great.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know. I just feel like when you're just a hard worker, you just got it.
Yeah.
I feel it. And the mindset, I would say.
Yeah. I talked about this with the Rhodes boys, but a lot of wrestlers, especially like newer wrestlers on the independent scene, a lot of them haven't like weight trained before in any capacity, right? And even the ones that have been around a while, a lot of them still don't, or if they do, maybe not as seriously as they should, especially when it comes to diet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From your experience, especially seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with the NXT guys and guys like that, but then also being as deep as you are in the independent scene, how important is that to you, and how important is it to others, even if you aren't, an NXT superstar in the WWE, to start those habits early on?
Yeah, you have to have them, because I tell you what, everybody at that level has it.
Yeah.
Like all those guys, girls, they have it.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Yeah.
They're all athletic.
Right. Even the bigger people.
All of them.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like everyone. Like, so if you aren't, you just like the oddball out. People have fun. Like, I have fun. Like, I still consume alcohol sometimes, but in moderation.
Yeah.
Like, but I take like the diet and workout, it's my job, their job. So,
Right.
It's like literally how you put food on your,
Yeah.
on your table. So once you get to that point, like I feel like it'll just click. But it clicked for me before, like even started wrestling. I've always been in the gym. So I don't understand why people don't like work out. Like you don't have to be Batista.
Yeah.
But at least like take care of yourself in the gym,
Right.
like in the kitchen. I just feel like a lot of people don't like take it as serious as they should, because that literally got me looks from when I was day one.
Yeah.
And so I would assume for you, like,
Right, exactly.
bro, like just the way you look, carry yourself. You walk in through the door, people are gonna look at you like, man, this dude is a monster. So literally, just like the look can get you opportunity as well too. Obviously, you want to have the skill set, but it's your look. And then like a person who's fit, a person who's fit, it like says a lot about them too, like, as a person. Like you just, you see the discipline, hard work. Okay, it's not easy to get like muscle or to
Right.
get big, and I mean, you know that for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy. If it was, like everybody would look like you.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
Everybody would walk around with him, look with his neck.
Yeah, or him.
And stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's so true. Wrestling is so interesting to me because, there's like three pieces of this pie, unlike other sports, where other sports are predominantly skill or, let's say, like look and skill.
Yep.
But very, very few things are the charisma or even like the acting side of it, let's call it. But the charismatic side, you got the look side, and then you got the skill side. And for me, getting good at wrestling, it's very hard, number one, but also it's one of those things where you can actively get good at wrestling or get better at wrestling, give yourself a better chance per se, better looks by doing things outside of just the ring on a daily basis, paying attention to your diet, working out. From a charisma standpoint, like that's huge, whether that's like acting classes or doing podcasts like this, just having the confidence to present yourself in front of a camera, in front of a crowd. Those are all skills that are slept on, it seems like.
Definitely.
There's a lot of emphasis on skill practice, right? But obviously it's the people that either have the look from the get-go or work really hard to get the look, or have that natural charismatic presence or work to build it, the ones that stand out and make it to that next level.
Definitely.
Like there's a lot of independent wrestlers that probably have the skill set really down, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe even the skill set and the look, but they're missing it on the charismatic side, or any combination of those three.
For sure.
with you, for example, have you found like one piece of that pie to be difficult to attain, or have you done anything differently to work on those different pieces?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, like when I came in, and once I kind of started like seeing the type of wrestler I would be, like obviously I'm like I have a presence, but I'm not like a talker. So like, and it's weird because even Chad always says this too. Like I have like crazy charisma. I just express it differently because I'm not like a showboat type of like person. It's just it's just weird to explain it because like I was a basketball player, so like if you cross somebody up and like dunk on them, you know, you like amp up.
Yeah.
You know, you just like you juiced up at that point. Like you just punched on somebody.
Yeah.
So it's just like I come from like that type of background, so it's like I've been trying to find ways to channel that to wrestling, even the Marine Corps. Like I feel like the Marine Corps was a blessing and a curse too because it taught me to show no emotion. Like as a Marine, as a rifleman, like you're supposed to be able to go through anything and not let it like your face of the change, just keep to finish the mission. So it kind of like took me off track of like I guess my feelings in a way.
Okay.
And Dustin like could see that when I would be wrestling because they were like, "What the hell? Like you doing this great stuff?" But like I went and showed. It's like Michael Myers wrestling, bro.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Literally, when I took my mask off, I was really like Michael Myers or like Jason Voorhees, like wrestling. Cause I was just like, I didn't know what the hell to do.
I see. You think that's like subconsciously because you had the mask on, you weren't just programmed to think about what your face is doing as much?
Yeah, that and really the Marine Corps teaching me to be like this,
Right.
like, no emotion.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've slowly been like peeling back, like trying to peel back the layers. Cause I feel like once I get that down, like, you know, it's
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
my rocket ship. That's
Yeah.
like one thing I'm really like working on, like communicating to the crowd and things like that. That's why I'm glad Dustin gave me the mic in my last show because like that's something I've never done.
Oh, really?
I didn't go with any plan or what I was gonna say to the crowd either. I said, don't give me a script. I remember last time Dustin gave me a promo.
Yeah.
He wrote a script and I was like, just let me just go out and talk to him. So that's like something I want to get better at. I would say, like my talking. I think that's where the money's at. We can really speak.
And it's rare in the indies to get those opportunities, right? At least from what I've seen. Like certain people I've seen, but like they're not handing out mics just to everybody on every
Yeah, not every show. Yeah, you don't know what happened. And it's weird that Dustin gave me the mic, and I'm not even the talker, but he just wanted to get me out of my comfort zone.
That's cool.
Which I liked it because it forced me to do something that I typically would never do.
Yeah.
Like never.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good though. You think there's going to be more opportunities like that in Japan?
I hope so. My goal is to cut a promo in Japanese.
Yeah. Maybe Matt. You can hire Matt as your
That's my goal.
translator.
Yeah, my goal, like for real, is to cut
Yeah.
a promo in Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be badass. It really, especially in your gear and everything. I agree. Talk about with Dustin now, since we keep bringing them up. You mentioned it before the podcast, but talk about like getting when you first met him, and then taking this leap of faith essentially to come down here and move down
trust
here,
him.
right? And then
Yeah.
how much and how he's helped you to the point that you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody at RWA, I feel like Dustin has been a huge help. To sit under his learning tree, I would say. I first met Dustin January 6, 2022 at Battle of the Belts in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, we were working out in the ring. Him and Sean Dean had me working out in the ring before the show. Taking bumps, running the ropes, doing drills, just to see if I was like ready.
Yeah.
And then, they gave me the thumbs up. Dustin gave me the thumbs up.
That's
So
awesome.
I was like, man, go with this. With Dustin Rhodes. My bad. Dustin Rhodes gave me the thumbs up. So I was just like happy, like, what the hell? Like, this is Dustin Rhodes right here. And then he's like, hey man, like what you did. To tell you about my wrestling school. I didn't want to bother him too much because I was like, it was my first time at like a TV atmosphere.
Okay.
And I was still new to wrestling. Like at that point, I hadn't been doing matches for a year yet, but I had been training for like a year and 9 months. So I knew the basics, wasn't like I was like straight. I would say I was like straight. I wasn't like the best ever, but
Yeah.
I was cool. Like
Yeah.
I could go out there and have a match.
You knew what you were doing.
Knew what I was doing somewhat. Still like green, I would say, because I was still like not even 2 years in.
Right.
But yeah, I mean he talked me up, talked to me. And then in April, I moved down and did the camp. I did Camp 5
Okay.
at RWA. I was still kind of nervous about too, because I had a super solid foundation in North Carolina. Because North Carolina wrestling is like great.
Yeah.
And there's so many great wrestlers in North Carolina right now, and from North Carolina. So many good wrestling schools there too. But I don't know, something about it just told me I should go. And even one of my coaches was like, "Hey man, like Dustin Rhodes tell you should go. You should go."
That's awesome.
And so I just went. I said, "Hey, I'll come down." So him and Terrell have been a huge help to me.
Yeah.
Like huge help. Like a huge help.
Was that kind of scary at first, taking that leap over, or what was that moving process like?
It was super nervous. I didn't know anybody here. I knew no one in Austin. Like no, I didn't know anybody here. So it was just me and another guy named Ray. We like split like an Airbnb. I didn't know him at all. We just on the Discord.
Yeah.
And we just split like a house and did the camp. Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool experience, I would say. It was a lot different what I'm used to, but it was cool.
Yeah.
But it helped me improve as a wrestler though, for sure. I definitely got better from the camp. And I still get better.
Yeah.
Like, coming in to work every week.
What are some of the bigger lessons you think Dustin has passed on to you that you apply now?
Man, just really comfortable being myself. Like not hiding. Like I know one thing he would say is like not hiding like my real talent. Like let people see like the talent. Like I feel like so many people haven't really seen like what I can truly do in a wrestling ring. 'Cause I just haven't really displayed it yet. So just really just right timing. The right time, it'll all come out. But he just wants me just to really just be me and just be great. That's one thing he really like harps on me. It's just like being myself and like being the best version of me.
Yeah. He's great. He's helped me a lot as well. With now, fast forward to more present, your opportunity in Japan. Was this something that you had your eyes set on? Because I know you did the tryout, right? And then that went well, and now you're going over there. But
yes.
Leading up to that, was that something that you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get prepared for this, or did that kind of come up out of the blue?
I've been wanting to go to Japan since 2022.
Okay.
So like since the hiring freeze happened, I've always been a big fan of AJ Styles, and he became like him and Kenny Omega became like superstars in their own way in Japan. So I was like, man, like I want to go to Japan and really just develop myself, because like I'm known to like a certain extent, but like I'm not known like worldwide. Like I won't even say I'm known through all indies. Like I'm known in like certain areas, certain regions, but like I'm not like I don't know. I'll take it back. I'm more known than what people. I don't know. People tell me I'm more known than what I think. Because you're just never surprised with who really knows you from the internet now.
Yeah.
But, I just feel like I can develop to be way bigger than what I am.
Yeah.
Anybody can. I just feel like that over there, that wrestling style would help me, just based off how physical they are, how physical I am, just becoming like a real like monster.
Right.
And then just come back to U.S. as like a beast.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what that product turns out to be. That'll be really good for you. And that makes sense too, because the last bit of advice you gave me that helped me a lot, even just in a couple of matter of days, was just like the aggression subject.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to understand and define what that means to me, but just like putting that term in my head had me thinking, So not only do I really appreciate the help there in that standpoint, but that's something where for your character, like that kind of has to be the name of the game when it comes to you, right?
Definitely.
And with the guys in Japan, that's predominantly their style.
It's super aggressive. And that's something that even in my early days, people would tell me, hey man, like, Joe, I need to be more aggressive out there. And I'm like, dang, for real? I'm like, they're like, yeah, you could be so much more aggressive. Like, you're huge. Like, you're 6'7". At that time, like 285 straight muscle. They're like, be more aggressive. So I was like, man, and I told you about the training, I got smacked around and stuff.
Yeah.
And just,
I remember that. Yeah.
it came out, and ever since then, I just never looked back. And there's still times where I am light, because I don't want to hurt people, but it's just the way like you move your body in the super explosions, you can just look more aggressive with how I do things. I mean, any bigger muscular guy,
right?
You should want to like have people terrified of you. Out there.
I think one of the first instances I've seen where that's displayed is one time in training. It was Ricky and then somebody else, and they had like stiffed him pretty hard with the elbow accidentally, and he looked really pissed.
Yeah.
And then it looked like he was just shooting on him in the corner, like with boots and stuff. But then afterwards, he's like, oh no, I wasn't pissed. And then like afterwards, like the person said like, oh no, it was super light, I could barely feel it. But like from my vantage point, it looked like it was making contact, and it was hard and aggressive, right? And then I think back to what you said and think back to that memory. I'm like, oh, I think that's, to some degree what he's talking about. Like the way it looked like legit. He was pissed, and he was like actually taking out anger, but it was super light. And he's like, oh no, I was good the whole time, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, wow.
That's how it should be. I want people to gasp. I like when people gasp when I do stuff. Not like, oh, I want them to.
Yeah.
I want that.
Right.
That's why. Not going to say I chase that, but I chase like that.
Are you guys looking for a barefoot shoe that doesn't look like you're stealing from your grandmother's closet? Well, I have the solution for you. Use my code HOUSESTRONG at vivobarefoot.com if you want the best looking, best feeling, most versatile barefoot shoe on the market.
This is real.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, when I see their faces and like covering their faces, oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
I'm really touching the guy. It's just like I'm murdering them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with my chops and shit though, like that's real. Like that's like full on. But even like my uppercut, my forearm.
Yeah. You throw nasty punches and stuff. It looks look really good.
Not even touching.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Now, starting to wrap up, I would love like your perspective on these different things because you've been in it for a while. What are, say, a few things that somebody that's getting into wrestling for the first time should do to prepare or should even expect as they get into their first wrestling school? What would you give your advice on?
For a wrestler getting into wrestling, man, that's a good question. I would say definitely like work out and eat good. Watch a lot of wrestling. Do a lot of cardio too.
Is there a particular way that you watch wrestling? Because I think a lot of people like watch it, for example, but somewhere in the midst they get caught watching as a fan and they don't know what to look for. Do you have any advice on like how to gear your studying in wrestling in a direction that makes a bigger difference?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I still watch as like, well, I want to enjoy this match. But I feel like when I see something I know I could take, I just kind of just take a mental note and like, oh, like that's something that looks like my character would do.
Okay.
And so maybe I can do it this way. But I feel like I've been getting in the habit recently. Even Ricky said this. I was surprised because I'm like, man, I should do this too. He said sometimes you just like be in the house, you just have it playing in the background. So you just like hear it.
Okay.
So sometimes I do that, or I'm just like just watching it, just watching it. Cause it's like so many different styles, and I try to just pick up on what I think will work best for me. I feel like my style, or even something that might not work out for me. That's not typically my style, but like that looks cool to try or something. That looks like that's efficient. I feel like with my style, I want everything to be effective and efficient.
That makes sense.
Yeah. For
those beginner type people, what's your advice to keep them from getting ahead of themselves?
Oh yeah, to stick to the basics. Yeah, I mean, I practice basics every week. You see it. I love doing the basics because you want that foundation. You want to have a great foundation to build upon, and you can never like stop pouring into your base. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can never you should never stop. Like your quads, like it's like your base of your body. Like you should never stop pouring into it. Like your brain too. Like you should always want to learn the basics too. Because I feel like a lot of people now, what I see, they don't have the fundamentals down, and they're trying to like, instead of walk, they want to dunk from the free throw line, like Michael Jordan, but they don't want to like dribble the basketball or like walk. They want to just jump from the take a half court shot like, Steph. They don't want to do like the basic stuff.
Yeah.
So stick to the basics. It's like very important. I feel like just running the ropes, bumping, good bumps, good footwork. Like international spot is a gold mine, like 5x5s.
Right.
Gold mine, bro. It's like it teaches you so much, even though it's so basic, but it teaches you like your cardio, it teaches you your ring placement. It can teach you how to just like run a spot smooth.
Yeah, right.
And I, 5 years in, I still run a basic international drill when training. And I probably will do that for like the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Lord willing, international spot.
Yeah.
Cool. Just basic stuff, but it just helps you in the long run. And if you look at most of the top guys who make the most money in wrestling, what are they doing?
Yeah, the bare basics. John Cena.
The richest guys in the world are from wrestling. They're doing the basic stuff, bro.
Yeah.
And sticking to the basics.
Yeah. And
got 5 moves, if that.
Right,
That's
exactly.
just basic work.
And their character stuff is just ungodly on the next level. It's phenomenal. And for me, in my studying, I think that's what I'm really trying to pick up on is that type of stuff, like the stuff in between the moves, because that's what I think allows somebody to have a tiny move set per se, and then be able to excel is like that type of. It's almost like a unwritten thing that you can't really explain, but when you see somebody do it, like you can just tell. Right. Like even down to like how their face or their eyebrows are moving, like just the smallest little things that you don't really pay attention to as a fan. But if they weren't there, it would look drastically different.
Exactly.
Yeah, but since they are there, you almost like expect it as part of the show. But if you take that out, then you just know that the product isn't as good. But maybe you can't explain why. But those are like the finer details that, for me, I'm trying to really pay attention to, especially as a baby face, because those are like super important to have. But anyways, back to John.
Yes, sir.
With wrestling schools, I ask jiu-jitsu people this a lot for the jiu-jitsu people watching, but for wrestlers, what are maybe 2 good green flags of a pro wrestling school that are to look for, and then also 2 red flags of wrestling schools?
Oh, man. I would say a green flag is like the wrestlers who are representing the school.
Okay.
That's very important. And I feel like at RWA, like, we have a bunch of like just good guys and girls representing the school. So, like the product that's out there, I would say for the most part from the core, is a good product. You see, okay, this person's good, where they from? Rhodes. You don't want to go out and be a bad representation of your coach.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's definitely a green flag. It's another green flag. Man, because I've trained in some High Spots was a really great place. It wasn't Rhodes, like the setup, but it was like we had one ring. It was like a 18, like maybe a 16 or 18.
Okay.
But I would say the coaches too, like the trainers. High Spots. So we had George South, we had Caleb Conley, Caprice Coleman, and JD Drake. Like it was crazy. Like Eddie Kingston would come in.
Oh, cool.
Bro, it was insane. So you want to have like a pedigree. It's good to have like a pedigree of established trainers. Obviously, we got Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
And, he teaches everything to Chad and Eric. So, it's a strong pedigree there too. So I would say that's probably like 2 green flags. Like you want to see who's representing that school, like the product of the school, like the students. And it's like a good pedigree of like a core group leading, like teaching.
Yeah.
I think those are 2. Because, without that, what are you going to learn?
Yeah, I agree. Like, what are like the team captains doing? Like, you got the coaches and their pedigree is great and everything. And then, just like a football team or a wrestling team, like what are the team captains doing? How do they display themselves? Stuff like that. Stuff to kind of help keep order and set the right example, like from the perspective of the student, just so the coaches aren't the only ones leading. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
What are some red flags that you've seen?
Man, I'm trying to think, because the wrestling schools where I came from were so good. When we had Firestar Pro Wrestling, we had AML, and those are like amazing schools. But obviously, there's bad schools too. Like, I just haven't been to like a bad. They're out there. I just don't like. I wouldn't know per se, 'cause I haven't
Yeah.
experienced it. Like obviously I've seen it. Like, you know, if they're putting out bad wrestling, you know, that could be
Yeah.
that's obviously a red flag. Unsafe wrestling. Like it's a difference between making it like, you know, how it looks dangerous, but like I'm not murdering you.
Yeah.
When somebody's actually like injured all the time, like getting injured all the time, like I think that could be like a red flag. Probably like the ones who book themselves on the show
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and like put themselves over instead of like trying to get the kids better.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's definitely like a red flag, because it's like you're not worried about your students getting
Yeah.
better, you just worried about yourself.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
And even like I have to talk about Firestar too, because like Kozone is probably like the best trainer in the country, like at Firestar Pro Wrestling. He's probably the best wrestling trainer in the country, and all his students are so good at Firestar Pro Wrestling Academy, and it's just like the way he does it, like he's so good. He's such a talented wrestler himself, and he like never just like steps on the kids. Like he lets the
Interesting, yeah.
kids like shine. I mean, you got Javon in WWE, you got Jackson Drake,
Oh, wow.
WWE ID.
Okay.
You got Griff in AEW.
Right.
Like it's so much talent that he's still like amazing. Can wrestle anywhere in the world, but he never like he lets the kids like explode. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't
Yeah.
like hold them back. He never like puts himself over them. Which was just crazy. It's just don't say it's crazy, because he's just such a talented wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a good point. I think one that I also haven't experienced, because I've only been in Arizona and Dustin's, but
yeah, he's been in good places.
Yeah.
I've been in good places too.
yeah, and so that's a blessing in itself. But what Chad brought up the other day at practice, where we're talking about a little bit, because it's more common in jiu-jitsu, like where I come from in jiu-jitsu, like that's very much a real thing, which is like cross-training being looked down upon.
Oh yeah.
And whether it's directly looked down upon or conversations are had about you when you're not around, like it's looked down upon in some way, shape, or form, and
Definitely.
and your status within your wrestling school or whatever the case may be starts to dwindle the more you decide to cross train. And to me,
Definitely.
in jiu-jitsu, it's very important, but in wrestling, it would either be equally or even more as important, because like like you said, there's so many styles, but you know, you could go to Dustin and learn something you couldn't learn from Booker T, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But like they're both legends, and they both got to where they're at with their own various strategies. And so
For sure.
having access to learn from whoever you can, but multiple different people like that, to me, like in wrestling, if you're really gonna become unique in your own character, having opinions from all these different people, whatever you use at the end of the day does come down to you, but you don't know what you don't know until you're exposed to it.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so with Dustin being super cool with people going wherever to train or going to seminars, and I know they're the same way in Arizona.
It's encouraged.
I think that's...
You got a good coach.
Exactly. And that's like a really good sign of a good coach in general, which is somebody that is secure enough to let their students go out and learn things from different people, because they understand that they know what they're doing, but they also understand that they don't know everything, and that's completely okay. And it's cool, because then learning from the coaches and the students can be more of a collaborative effort.
Definitely.
Which then helps everybody get better, and especially at the school itself. So it's kind of like, to me, cross-training is a direct way to make that home school better, because you bring back this knowledge, you collaborate as a team, and then everybody learns a little bit of something. So
And that's really one thing I want to do with Japan too.
that's awesome. Yeah.
And I try to do it sometimes, like with drills. 'Cause a lot of times I'll tell a drill from the PC. So I think that's starting to help us.
Yeah.
Like in there.
Well, especially, you're one of the leaders in the room, and people, they learn from you, whether they're just watching how you move or they're asking you direct questions, or even your experiences. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions for you after you come back from Japan or when you visit or whatever, you know, so you're going to be bothered for your time quite a bit.
I don't mind it though.
But
I was the same way coming up.
Right.
I just want to ask, like I'm asking all the time. Like, bro, I used to aggravate JD Drake and George how much I'm calling them, the priest, asking them stuff. All like I'm saying like 1 a.m. I might have a thought. I would text JD, not George.
Yeah.
But I would text James Drake at like 1 a.m. Like, Coach, what about this? Like, I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
I still text him. Yeah. He just it'll never stop. like with anybody. I can say the same way you too. Like you'll probably forever try to get better.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what it takes to be really good in this business.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's
man.
always wanting to know more. So yeah, I'm excited to see what I learned there, so I can send back to you guys.
Yeah, for real. I'm excited too. Well, with that said, I'm super happy for you, bro. You definitely deserve it. To me, it's cool because it's like getting to see what you're like now right before this new chapter starts, and then it's also really cool to think about what this new chapter can possibly ignite for you.
Yeah, it's scary to think about, honestly. Like the what ifs,
Right?
The possibilities of what could happen. It's like, man, it's a lot that could happen from this.
100%. But like you said earlier, like Lord's will, God's timing, right?
Yeah.
And lean your faith back into that, and I think you're going to be led in a really cool direction. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, 100%. The last thing that I usually ask before we end is just 2 things that you're grateful for. Number 1, what are those? And then number 2, what's one thing that you find yourself chasing right now?
I would say I'm grateful for like my support system. Like, man, I have a crazy support system. Like, and I'm tying all that to like family, friends,
Yeah.
like people with training. Like, I'm thankful for like all of that. Like my mama, like everybody. I have an amazing support system. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Even like people who are fans of me. Like, bro, they've been like with me through like the whole like ups and like the downs. You know, so there's people who still like support me and like believe in me.
Right.
For sure. Cause I'm glad. Cause sometimes, you know, I'm like, dang, I don't know if I got it anymore. And people are like, man, well, we can't wait to see you like perform again.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, when you get messages like that out of nowhere, like you just gotta just keep going.
Yeah.
So I would say the support, and then what's something else I'm thankful for, man.
Yeah, these are hard for me too.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, man. I said support system, like my family, friends, like wrestling school, and I'll say my freaking I'm trying not to cuss as much as I used to, but I would say like my mental capacity,
Okay.
like my mental strength, is one thing I'm thankful for.
I like that. Yeah.
Because without that I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing still.
Right.
Like for sure, because it's hard like mentally when you keep going so high, and then you literally like not back down and not up, down. So I would say like my mental capacity.
Right. Yeah, that's something I definitely admire about you, because you're one of those people that you can tell have been through a lot.
For sure.
Much more than what we covered in this podcast, right?
Yeah,
But
for
even
sure.
still, always, every single time I see you, very positive, very uplifting, and always one to help those immediately around you, whether
sure.
they ask for it or not. You know. So, and to me, that's like a true display of strength.
For sure.
Where you're able to overcome your own internal battles or whatever they may be, but then still show up as a human being to those around you. That shows
You never know who will need it.
Right, 100%. And you know that there's a lot of people that look up to you for
sure.
for a shoulder to lean on or knowledge or whatever the case may be. So that to me deserves a lot of credit, because not many people can fill those shoes, and you do very beautifully. So
Thank you. Bro.
yeah, and then one thing you're chasing.
You know, I feel like I'm chasing what everybody's chasing. We all got in this business to like make it, you know, solidify ourselves. Like, you know, like I really want to solidify myself as like one of like the best like giants in wrestling.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's like one thing I'm chasing.
I love that.
Like for sure. I think I'm already one of the most athletic, but you know, I want to be like the best. Cause you know, I mean, when Dustin pulled me to the side and told me, he wishes that he could have seen me wrestle the Undertaker.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like,
That would have been yeah.
I was like, I have to like. That just motivated me even more. So I feel like I'm chasing like that, not to be the Undertaker, but like just you know, like be in a conversation one day. I would say like 20 years just to be in that.
Hell yeah.
In that conversation for sure.
Hell yeah.
That's like one thing I'm chasing. I wouldn't say I'm chasing a championship. You know, you just got it. So I'm not chasing the champ unless you sit on it.
we could pull this back later, and then it'll turn into a feud or something. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, I just want to be one of the best. So I think that's what I'm really chasing.
Hell yeah, dude. Well,
Yeah.
we all believe in you here, and I'm sure now many people across the entire world will believe the same. So thank you for the time to do this before you go over to Japan.
Yes, sir.
And you guys make sure to follow him. Stay tuned on his journey because there's going to be a lot of good things happening across seas that I hope we can all see very soon here in the States. Until next time, this is the Jimmy House Podcast. Make sure to follow John, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
And that's going to conclude another episode of the Jimmy House Podcast. If you guys have any questions that you want featured on future shows, make sure to put them down below. And until then, if you guys could keep liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, it would mean the world to us. The more this channel grows, the more we can provide the content that you guys love to listen to. Until next time, thank you as always. Jimmy House, out.